And we begin right now here at 11:24 with one rainy Monday night after Monday Night Football on ABC. And thank you very much for staying up late with us. I'm Doug Proffitt and joined now by our chief meteorologist, Mallory Schnell, who says, Mallory, you're saying get ready for a lot more rain, more than this tomorrow?
Yes, that's right. So really the heavier pockets will be arriving for our Tuesday. Today, even though it's been raining off and on all day, many of us have stayed below an inch of rainfall. But these scattered showers, they continue to lift northward tonight. Good sleeping weather out there. Let's take a big picture view showing where this moisture is coming from. Yes, we are getting some of that tropical moisture from the Gulf. That's out ahead of a front that is off to our northwest. So this will kind of all come together for that potential for heavy rainfall as we carry on into the overnight hours tonight, but more so for your Tuesday. So hour by hour, as we continue onward through the overnight hours, temperatures will not change all too much. We're expecting overnight lows to just drop into the mid to upper 60s, and then highs tomorrow likely just stopping out in the lower 70s. It'll be tough for those temperatures to warm with the radar this active as we carry on throughout your Tuesday. So expect this rain to be heavy at times. We could see some embedded thunderstorms, but our severe weather threat is very low tomorrow. That front swings through tomorrow evening, and then we'll start to dry things out from northwest to southeast tomorrow evening and more so tomorrow night. Your excessive rainfall outlook, we definitely have this level 2 out of 4 there in the yellow. That's basically your risk for isolated or localized flash flooding. So as I mentioned, heavy rainfall could lead to localized flash flooding. That's our biggest weather risk for tomorrow. Otherwise, we're just tracking cooler temperatures for the rest of the week. More sunshine returning starting Wednesday. A full look at our 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Mallory, thank you. Down to a late story we are following that is breaking tonight. Threats of violence and death being made to members of the Kentucky Parole Board coming after child killer Ron Zantis was released after serving 7 years of a 20-year sentence. Zantis was let out last week. He was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity for the 2015 killing of 6-year-old Logan Tipton in Versailles, Kentucky. Zantis had driven to the family's home randomly from Indianapolis. Over the weekend, the White House also said that it, too, was investigating why he was released since he was sentenced to 20 years. Well, the parole board tonight says inaccurate information is causing significant threats. The board in a statement says they did not release Zantis. Instead, unanimously voted for him to remain in prison. Here's more of what they said. The board saying tonight, Kentucky law required the release on mandatory reentry supervision. At a time when political violence is on the rise, it's more important than ever that information shared is accurate and threats like these are taken seriously. Also new on the night team, news since 6, JCPS is deciding if they need to raise your taxes, but this time the new superintendent is making it clear why he would even make such a controversial request. Brian Yearwood saying no new taxes to fill the $188 million deficit, but maybe new taxes to upgrade the schools and the buildings. Well, the district has, as you know, a $188 million budget, and it needs to cut $132 million from next school year's budget. WHAS11 Night Team's Alex Dederer and photojournalist Aspen Hester have what the district is looking for to make those cuts by January.
We have to do that in-house.
JCPS Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood reiterating that he does not want a tax increase to balance the district's $188 million budget deficit, but says a tax increase may be necessary to update and even replace decades-old school buildings.
We will need to have new buildings. We will need to have remodels happening. So again, those are things that will require additional revenue. And that's where, we have to determine whether we go to the voters or not.
The district has an estimated $2.5 billion in deferred maintenance across all facilities.
If people don't have faith that you're spending that money properly, why would they want to give you more money?
Former school board member and education consultant Sam Corbett saying the district needs to focus on regaining the community's trust.
There's just no way this community is ready to raise their property tax rate, given what they perceive in many cases as the inefficiency that you have at JCPS.
Do we really need a tax increase? And are there ways that we can save money without raising taxes?
Louisville resident and former FBI Special Agent David Byer is on the Revenue Advisory Task Force, created in August in response to the budget deficit.
I have questions about those two things. how do we get to this point, and what's the solution? And I don't necessarily believe that raising taxes is a solution.
The task force's ultimate goal is to recommend a tax rate for the 2026-27 budget year. The Jefferson County Board of Education has until January or February to give a proposed budget that identifies $132 million to reduce from their budget. But is that doable?
Well, yes, it's doable, but that's going to require that you cut people.
While 80% of the district's budget is tied to labor costs, Superintendent Yearwood has pledged that no teachers will be laid off during the process, and a bulk of the cuts will be made in the central office, including administrative budgets.
And be able to show our taxpayers and show that we continue to be excellent stewards of our taxpayers' dollars.
More cuts to come, and the bottom line for the district superintendent remains that students cannot be the ones to suffer. In Louisville, Alex Dieterer, the WHAS11 night team on your side.
Superintendent Yearwood has said that the base pay for the staff members working directly in JCPS schools will not be impacted by this. Now, new tonight on the night team, we want to bring you the latest on the government shutdown from Washington as you take a look at the U.S. Capitol and Capitol Hill tonight. Hours ago, the U.S. Senate failed to pass the necessary funding bills to end the ongoing government shutdown, so it still remains shut down. Aides have told ABC News that the Senate is expected to take the same two votes again tomorrow for a sixth time. There is no indication that the outcome will be different when the vote is called tomorrow. Earlier today, President Donald Trump warned another failed vote could lead to layoffs. He also said there are ongoing discussions with the Democrats to address their demands that Obamacare subsidies be continued past the end of the year. More local news. 2 men arrested and charged after police say they used stolen credit cards taken from elderly victims. Police say Nathaniel Porter on the left and Pastor Virgil Edwin Mosey on the right racked up over $5,000 in fraudulent transactions, taking advantage of 70 to 80-year-old victims here in Louisville. Referred to as the Sticky Finger Bandits, Metro Police caught these two on camera at several retailers using the stolen credit cards. The two are scheduled to appear in court on October 14th. LMPD says it's possible there could be more victims out there. And if you believe you're a victim, you're asked to call the LMPD 3rd Division Detectives. That number is 502-574-2135. In Bullitt County on this rainy day, quite the scene. A small plane upside down in a field right near a church after the pilot had to make an emergency landing in this field. The pilot took off earlier today from Louisville's Bowman Field. The plane lost power, forcing the pilot to bring it down in Mount Washington around Flat Lick Road and Mount Washington United Methodist Church. Emergency crews were dispatched at about 2:20 from both Mount Washington and Bullitt County. The pilot reportedly does not have serious injuries. In fact, the pilot actually climbed out of the plane before being taken to Louisville's University Hospital to be checked out. No one else on the ground was injured as well. A Louisville pizza restaurant at the U of L campus is losing its liquor license. According to Metro Alcoholic Beverage Control, Fire Oven Pizza allegedly served alcohol to underage guests. It's located on West Cardinal Boulevard, right near U of L's main campus. Metro ABC also says several of those people tried to leave when the detectives started checking the IDs. 9 people were cited. One of them was said to be under the influence. As a result, Metro ABC issued an emergency suspension order of Fire Oven Pizza's liquor license. This means the business cannot serve alcohol until a full investigation is complete. The man found guilty of murder in the Crystal Rogers case is appealing his conviction. Brooks Houck was one of the 3 men convicted in her murder, as you know, and Houck was Rogers' boyfriend at the time of her death in July of 2015. He was sentenced to life in prison just this September. Now he's asking the Kentucky Appeals Court to overturn his case. The other 2 men convicted in Rogers' murder have also filed notices seeking an appeal. Well, he is heading to prison and is expected to report to prison this week. Former LMPD detective Brett Hankison lost his request to remain free throughout his appeals. Hankison was found guilty of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights during the botched police raid in March of 2020 that ended up killing her. A federal judge sentenced him to 33 months back in July, but his attorneys have been appealing that sentence ever since. Hankison's attorneys asked the judge for another 2 to 3 month delay to his prison start date last Friday, with that denial from the judge coming in earlier today. Hankinson is now set to report to prison this Thursday, October 9th. More heavy rain is not expected to help. A major blockage in the Rolling Fork River, and it's posing a risk down in Nelson County. So we were there looking it over today, the huge pieces of debris blocking the river's regular flow. This happened after April's historic flooding, but it's still a blocked mess. The emergency management director believes it'll take about $500,000 or a contractor to break it all up in the river.
What if it breaks? What does that mean to the downstream towns that are below it? Is that almost like a dam breaking and then you have this big wall of water that takes out the town of Boston? Those are the things that we're concerned about.
If FEMA doesn't come through with the funds, Brad Metcalf there says he'll need to request them from the Kentucky General Assembly next year, which, by the way, is a budget year. You know, you hear a lot about electric vehicles, but with the tax credit now expired, how well do these cars really sell in Louisville? We've got the breakdown in a report that's brand new on the WHAS11 night team coming your way next.
And here's a check of today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions, $547 million. Powerball, $207 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million